أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Dear viewers everywhere, first of all, I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And before I begin reflecting upon one of the verses of the Quran, I'd like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by saying this wonderful statement, wonderful phrase, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this guidance and for showing us ways of benefiting ourselves and other people from the Holy Quran. Today we are discussing a verse in the second chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, and this is verse or ayah number 286. Let me recite the whole ayah and then I will focus on the first segment of it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت, which can be, the meaning of it can be translated into, Allah burdens not a person beyond his scope or his capacity. He gets reward for that good which he has earned, and he is punished for that evil which he has earned. My focus is on the first segment of it, of this ayah, of this evidence today, which says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden any human being with something that's beyond his capacity or beyond his scope or beyond her scope, his or her capacity. So here, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is deciding a fact by the creator of human. Since he is the creator, so he knows about his created things, his creatures, he knows well about them. For example, if I, for example, manufactured this glass or manufactured this pen or manufactured this watch, I would know definitely about it because I am the designer, I am the engineer, I'm the manufacturer, so I know about it very well. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and He knows every cell in us. He knows all our qualities and characteristics. And He's saying that whatever obligation that I ask a human being to do, I know that it is within the capacity, within the scope of a human being to do it. In other words, there is no excuse for you to say that I cannot do this. I cannot fast 30 days in the month of Ramadan in a whole year. 30 days is too tough for me. I cannot do that. This is against your nature. You were programmed to do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that it is within your capacity. Like an engineer who knows that the car works with gasoline or gas, right? So he puts gasoline in it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He provided us with the ability to fulfill all these obligations. But it is the whisper of the Satan to us. It is the whisper of the human beings around us. It is the effect of human beings. It's the effect of the community, whether it's a world community or a local community or a very close community, whether it's your family or your extended family, whether it's your neighbors, whether it's your teachers. We Muslims believe what Almighty Allah said in the Quran, that it is within our capacity. And that's why we see that by our own naked eyes, almost more than 1 billion human beings fast a whole month of Ramadan. Men and women, even young, very young children, they can do it at the age of 7. Some people even, they compete with each other. Some children, although it's not an obligation on them, they start fasting at early age. They can do it 7 years old, 8 years old, although they were not asked to do it, but they feel that they can do it, and they want to prove to every human being across the globe that it is doable. It is within our scope. It is within our capacity. Wow, it's a wonderful verse for all those people who say that I cannot do it. But at the same time, this is again one of the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all-knowing. He knows who we are. And because of His mercy, He gave us some obligations that are doable, that can be done. Otherwise, He would be unfair God. That's why we love Him, because He's fair. He knows that it is within our capacity. Every human being, every Muslim does this. If you are at my age, right, you find yourself have fasted almost 40 years every year for 1 month. If you are of the age of, for example, 20 years and you started fasting at the age of 10, you'll find yourself fasted 10 years. In other words, 10 months. It is doable. The same thing is applicable to the prayer. The same thing is applicable to doing or paying the charities. So that every obligation that Allah asked us to do, it is within our capacity. Once this is established in your brain, it becomes very simple to accept the commands and the obligation from Almighty Allah. And by the way, let me tell you something. Unfortunately, some people reverse the meaning. They say that, I cannot do this because it is not within my capacity. So they are the ones who decide for themselves that it is within their capacity or not. No, you don't know about yourself more than your Creator. Your Creator, Almighty Allah, knows about you more than you know about yourself. And that's why you find in Islam this merciful religion that it gives those people who are sick or who are aged and those people who have excuses, of course they are exempted from this rule because they are no longer behaving like normal human beings, because there is something that detains them, that handicaps them, that hinders them from practicing what other human beings do. This is an amazing ayah that shows the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that also teaches the person that don't argue. Don't argue with Almighty Allah because He's your Creator and He knows you. So accept what He asks you to do. This is the essence of the meaning of Islam. When a human being submits himself to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides. And now with the increasing number of Muslims almost everywhere, you can learn from your neighbors. You can learn from your colleagues in colleges and workplace and almost everywhere. You will see the Muslims practicing it without any difficulty. Yes, of course, there's some sort of suffering when they are probably doing these obligations, but once you get used to it, you can do it. As, for example, an athlete who runs, for example, 5 kilometers, if you try to do like him, from the beginning it becomes very difficult. But if you coach yourself and you take it gradually, you will be able to do it. It's a fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides for human being, right? And say that. Now, let's say that, yes, there may be some sort of hardship or difficulty, but everything in life begins as a difficult thing and it becomes after that easy. If it is taken in that way, things become very easy, alhamdulillah. Otherwise, we'll be responsible on the day of judgment and will be asked. And I link you with one of the statements that we explained it, one of the ayat that I explained it earlier, which was وَقَالُوا لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَعْقِلُ مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. And they said that had we listened and had we submitted and had we obeyed what Almighty Allah had said, we would have never been in hellfire. Now, this is again the answer for anyone who tries to find a justification or a logical answer, because we all the time tell people that learn this lesson, which logic would you follow? Is it the logic of your father or your mother who is more educated, or your teacher who has more experience, or the researcher who made a big research, right, and a long research and a comprehensive research? Or is it your community? Or are you following what is taught to you in the media, what is given to you by the journalists and the media people? Which logic should I follow? The simple, straightforward answer, and because this is the beauty of great religion, is the simplicity of this religion. It tells you simply, since He is the Creator, and since He knows best, then you need to follow what He gave you. He gave you clear directions, and you have the choice to follow or not to follow. Exactly like the traffic rules. You have the option to follow them or not to follow them. And if you don't follow them, the punishment is waiting for you. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more merciful than this. He gives you one opportunity after another, one chance after another, so that you learn from this. And now, we give it to you straightforwardly. This is the beauty of reading between the lines. This is the beauty of having tadabbur and having tafakkur and having pondering over the verses of the Quran, so that we can learn and teach others. This is your presenter, Dr. Mamdouh Mohamed, who asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all to this wonderful religion, to be saved on the day of resurrection. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها أفلا يتدبرون القرآن